The next planet, I mean, I usually talk about each of these for like 2 or 3 hours at a time, and it gets really deep. Well, I can just touch it in a few minutes here. But the next planet, see, the moon goes around in a month. Every month we go through a habit pattern. Or the same habit patterns with different specifics, or maybe the same specifics. I gotta have my beer, I gotta have my dinner at such and such a time, I gotta have this, I gotta call mom, or whatever. They're all there. If someone's living with you has to put up with your patterns, whoa, they have their patterns too. Then you get into Star Wars, right, or Moon Wars. So it starts to, but the next planet is Mercury. It's an 88-day cycle. Mercury represents, if you read it, talks about the mind and how you think. So Mercury, it's an 88-day cycle. We learn things in 3-month cycles. Courses, semesters, 3 months. The minute you put it past 4 months, into 4 months you won't finish the semester. We learn things in these 3-month pieces. It's the 4th month of a kid's life. You start seeing them moving their hands and moving around. They're coming alive. You're seeing them. They're no longer just a blob. They're starting to interact. It's not just gas anymore. They're seeing things around. But I mean, the magic of coordinating just a finger. How many mental things, how many nervous things, how many things have to go on in the brain to make that real, to function that? That's the mercurial function. It's not just thinking and making up symbols, making them into words, putting the words together to make sentences, and then trying to express ourselves. That's a tertiary concern of Mercury. How we think. But thinking, just like memories, it's disturbing the moment, the peace of the moment. Someone says to you, be quiet. If you just stop talking, that's one level, but how do you keep quiet and stop thinking too? So your thoughts are always disturbing the peace of this moment. Because Mercury is always making plans from where you're coming from. That happened 3 or 4 times, so we know whenever that happens, whenever mom shuts up the light and I hear the steps, she's going to take me to bed or whatever, then it's going to mean this, so I better do this so I can avoid it. Or I better do this so I can get the dessert. Or the Mercury's the planning that goes on to take the memories as they're happening and make sense of them as they're going into the future. Or if you have really bad memories bugging you, it's the plan of, I'll make my future different, this is how I'll do it. So much of us are trying to go into the future, but we're still just based on the past. But it's a really simple thing to get on the past, beyond the past, just be here now. No, it's not. But the Mercury is the thinking process. So in all of the spiritual books, it's one of the main yogas of Raja Yoga. How do you stop the mind and just get quiet and listen and be open? A good example would be like taking a tennis match. Okay? And you have someone waiting to receive the tennis, the ball's going to come, it's going to come at 100 miles an hour, you don't know which way it's coming, they're going to slam it at you, and you got, whoa, you just got to try, it's like, you can't think about it if you think they're already off of it. But you can be alert to that moment. So the alertness is the real principle of Mercury, not the thinking. The alertness and the coordination and the readiness to be here now completely. That's it. As we fall away from the ability to do that, we get into more and more mental disease. Or less and less capacity, or more and more complicated. We think we're doing everything. I mean, anybody says they think they do, they think they know everything, they're telling everybody to, and they're not even doing it. So Mercury is an interesting puzzle. But how we judge intelligence based on whether some kid's speaking at a certain time or a certain age, totally different thing than how alive, how coordinated, how alert someone is in a moment, which is more healing. But civilization naturally gets away from nature and gets us away and free from nature and away from nature, away from the light and the dark, away from the storms, away from the seasons. And we're conditionally moving away from what's natural. So away from being in the moment, away from the alertness. We get cut in our habit patterns that keep us away from it. It's too cold, I'm not going out. You go get a beer. Or you answer the door. So it gets complicated when you look out to interreactions in people. You can do it, but it's enough to just see for yourself what's healing. So coming to know each planet. In the Arab countries, the planets would be considered, in Europe it would be more like they're in Greek and Greece and Roman culture is more, they're the gods that affect us. We get shot for that in a Muslim country. Okay, so in a Muslim country, they're the angels or the jinns. And depending how well you're living in the moment, are you attracting angels or jinns? The higher spirit, jinns are genie. It's the term for genie, or the idea of the magical genie, but it usually deals with lower psychic or astral forces that come in and enhance us in our life. It's not what somebody's doing to us, it's how come we're attracting that. Every day. And I keep remembering it, and it still hasn't changed. And so just this texture of life, we can start healing certain things, but each planet has a different level that affects every other planet. If you're not eating right, you can't think right. If you haven't slept well, you can't think right. A kid can't study in a war zone. No, it's hard enough to study when you're in the suburbs going to school and you got the teacher and you're what? So, but the alertness, the feeding, the eating, these are all parts of your habits. And it feeds your nutrition that allows your mind to be alert and well coordinated. So then, okay, each of these gets so interesting you keep going on it, but I'm just going to try and